So tell me, you have this collection here. It looks like
Right.
you've had it for quite some time.
Right.
And how long did you say you've been in,
As an
education?
educator, or we would call a substitute teacher. I like the word educator, sounds more
Right.
finished off. But as a been 20 years, and I was involved with the history of Batavia City Schools since I had gone to Batavia City Schools. My father taught, my mother was a substitute, my sister went, my brother went. I thought it would be kind of interesting to find out the history of the schools, starting when the first Batavia High School, and that was in 1848.
So, because of your family history with the school district,
Right.
and because of you're in education,
Right.
did that encourage you to get into education?
Well,
Your
yeah,
family?
I did have a background in education. I was not one of their outstanding students. Both my parents were. My father was the director of music. My mother was a language teacher, and that was not my strong suit. But they did encourage me to learn, and which we have done over the last.
But that kind of encouraged you to
Right.
get into
Into
the education field.
Right, and then of course, why I got interested in the schools. It's nice to know where these schools came from, because we keep on changing. Again, it was the neighborhood school that when we had schools like West School, East School, Lincoln School, Pringle School, and then we got into Robert Morris and Jackson School. These were all neighborhood schools. Actually, Jackson School was a junior high at one time. I'm not sure if people realize that, but it was a junior high in which the overflow of students. We had a pretty good system here, and the kids could walk to school and come home every day.
So, where did you go to college to become?
Well, I went to, I jokingly say MIT, which is actually Mooresville Institute of Technology, RIT, which is RIT out of Rochester, and then I had the pleasure of getting my master's degree from the University of Buffalo.
Okay. So, how many years did all that take?
Well, again, I started in, I'm trying to think when I started. It's 1963.
Okay.
I started at MIT, and then RIT, and then I moved on. I got my bachelor's in RIT and my master's in UB.
Okay.
I got my 1971. So it was a
So
few
you
years.
started teaching what year?
I started teaching in 1966 in a place called Sackett's Harbor, which is near Watertown. It's very famous for the War of 1812. That's where they have a very interesting reenactment during the summertime, and they have different. Well, it was a naval place at one time, way back, when they had the big ships. They were made out of wood, but the big ships.
Right.
They fought on Lake Ontario.
So how long were you there?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
And then where?
Then I ended up in a place called Hamburg, New York, for another 34 years.
34 years.
Yeah.
And what'd you teach there? And what?
I taught business education, which includes courses like business law, business math, accounting.
All at the high school level.
All at the high school level, and typing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which your famous student.
That's my famous student. We sometimes don't talk about.
Right.
Well, I talk about, but
Yeah.
some people put me on the
Right.
defense. She's a nice person.
So what did you teach at Sackett's Harbor?
I taught 7 preparations. I did business law, general business, accounting 1 and 2, typing, and personal typing, and there was a couple. Yeah, that was enough.
So all this was in high school.
Yeah, that was.
They don't offer those classes in high school.
No, they don't.
They sound like college courses now,
And then
right?
I coached basketball just to stay out of trouble.
For where, at Sackett's Harbor?
And then Hamburg, they had me as a JV coach for a couple of years.
For?
JV basketball. And then I coached cross country for 35 years in Hamburg.
Okay. So, after you were done in 35 years in Hamburg, what'd you do? Retire?
Well, no, I decided that I'd try something different, called being a substitute teacher. So I actually started a place called Oakfield and Batavia. And I worked out at Robert Morris, and then I worked my way up to the high school level, which was the level I had taught for 35 years. So that's how I got in education.
So how long have you been subbing in this area?
About 20 years now.
So about 20 years. So
about 55 years roughly I've been in.
Right. So Why is it, important that, this kind of information that you have in this book, that people need to know about all this?
Well,
I mean, the changes are
right, yeah,
crazy.
I think, yeah, it's again to know where we've come from, because then we have a good idea of where we're going. Some people just forget where we come from. It just didn't happen overnight. So I think it's nice to understand our school system, what they were trying to do back in the 1840s and 19s, and I think this is a great idea that students of today can be aware that it just didn't happen overnight. There was a lot of people that have got involved with education, and Batavia has been a pretty good school system over the years. I like to think it's good since I'm here, but obviously, I think we have a good program. We got a good school system now, and it can get better. Any place that you say is not going to get better, then you don't have. But here, I think we can get better. But I think we've got some great teachers and great administration and great students. They're the ones I appreciate also.
Right. So you've taught every grade when you're subbing,
yeah,
right?
right. I did kindergarten through 12. My favorite usually is the seniors, only because I taught at that level. But the middle school has been interesting. They've been very nice to me. The grade school, of course, I gave them a little talk on who John Kennedy was. Most of them didn't know that. And then the American flag. The principal, I thought he was just going to bring out a class. He brought the whole school out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which I thought was interesting.
When was that?
Flag Day.
Oh, recently on Flag Day.
Flag Day.
And so you talked about John Kennedy.
Right.
Which John Kennedy?
Well, I asked the kids, did you know? And most of them said that.
And this was at John Kennedy School.
They thought that was the president, and I had to tell them, no, it wasn't. It was our superintendent, who retired in 1913. And the reason why John Kennedy was important was his educational system was well known all over the world. Matter of fact, I think in the 60s or late 50s, the Japanese came over and studied it. And the idea was one student, one teacher. Now, obviously, you see that a little bit, but that was his
vision, right?
The other interesting thing in John Kennedy was that John Kennedy saved the Holland Land Office. Basically, a guy named Henry Ford wanted to move it to Dearborn, Michigan. So Kennedy got the kids to save their pennies, and I guess they raised enough money so it wasn't going to be sold to Henry Ford. Now,
you mean Henry Ford, the car maker?
Yeah, the car maker, yeah.
Oh.
Dearborn, Michigan.
Wow.
Now, I could be wrong on that, and that's great. That's why we have history. To correct Mr. Owen every once in a while.
Right. Well, I'll have to look into that one.
Yeah.
So it almost ended up there instead.
Right.
Why would it end up there? It has nothing to do with it.
Well, no, because it was the building. It was a very nice building. Matter of fact, if you go around Western New York and you go to the University of Buffalo, on the main campus on Main Street, there's a building exactly like the Holland Land Office.
Yeah.
And that was modeled. In other words, they
modeled it after the Holland Land Office.
Exactly.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's.
Oh.
If you ever see that building, you swear it's the.
Do you know the name of that building right now?
It's I think
I've seen it.
It used to be the faculty lounge, but I think it's a student or the
student union.
No, nurses area. I think it's in the medical field.
All right.
But oops.
All right, we'll put this on pause for a minute.
Could be the governor's calling. One thing.
You got the perfect song playing too. You said that it's important for people to know the history of their schools and where they're going and obviously
where they come from and where they're going.
You've been in the school district here for a while, 20 years. So, any words of wisdom for the school district as they move forward? I know we still have a school that's sitting open.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. So, what's the words of wisdom you would give people at the school district? Everyone questions what they do, and we got a school that's sitting here open, and there's nothing in it really, and they've expanded John Kennedy but left Robert Morris kind of sitting there.
Right. Well, with Robert Morris, I understand it's going to be pre-K, and like in life, we have setbacks, and I think the school district has gone through a setback, because remember, a setback is a setup for a comeback. And I think you're going to see the school district make that comeback. Now, it doesn't say that they're not a great school, but obviously we always can get better. And I think that comeback you'll see that in the next 5-10 years, that you'll see a direction that is going to be enhance all the people in the Batavia school district to better heights.
Right.
They're working on it. So I don't say Batavia was down or anything, but like in life, we always can improve, and I think that's what Batavia's trying to do, is make a comeback for some things in the past that were setbacks.
Right.
How's that for a statement of wisdom?
So now, as far as all the students you've ever had, you know, I mean, you know, what have they're the ones that kind of keep you going through 55 years? That's
oh yeah,
a long
well,
time.
it's nice to hear the students of today. In reality, I said to somebody, I said they actually keep my life going because they seem to listen, they seem to be nice to me, even though I might not impact too much knowledge in them, but they seem to be nice and they seem to be cooperative. I had one day a teacher said to me, she said a couple of students standing outside the door that you were going into, and one student said to the other student, we have a substitute. And the other student says, no, we got Mr. Owen. And I thought that was kind of neat type of thing. So that was done by the department chairman of some things she heard. I didn't hear it, but that's what they said.
So you're not known as a substitute?
Yeah, that's right. The kids see me. And one day, I give you another little interesting. I walked into the classroom, and these 25 kids stand up and applaud. So I turned quickly to the teacher. I said, teacher, Mrs. D, I said, you are doing a great job. She's what do you mean? I said, they're applauding for me because you're doing a great job, because you hold the fort. You do the day by day. I just come in for a day, and of course the kids, I'm a little bit, let's put it, not as stringent as you are. And I said, you are doing a great job. And she is. She does a great job. But I just happened to turn that around. So
Dispatch First Medic 3 is transporting 1 to United.
So you have a lot of different every day.
Basically, second grade through seniors.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it's interesting. They all have the same thing. They come in, can we leave? I said, I just got here.
Can we leave? They all want to leave.
Yeah, right.
So what do you do to keep them occupied? I mean, you know, the teacher may leave something.
Right,
but
the teacher does leave something, and then I tell the students very openly, I says, look, you can fool Mr. Owen all the time, but you can't fool your teacher any of the time. So let's get to work. And one day it was kind of interesting. These kids are on these Chromebooks, and all of a sudden you saw the Chromebooks getting moved around inside on their page there. Well, the teacher was looking in. They could look in and check to see if the kid is on the right page. So I said, yes, there's your answer. They're looking, you know.
Right.
And of course, as a substitute, is basically to try to follow the plan that the teachers do, the best of your ability, and try to keep the kids in some type of order.
Right.
And in other words, somebody used the word babysitting. I like to say, no, not babysitting, but educating the students in a different style of learning. So that's what I try to do.
So you may have a lesson plan that they leave, but there's like the day, you know, you might want to talk to them about,
occasionally
something different.
I get off, John Kennedy especially, I get off track and tell them who John Kennedy was.
Right.
And some remember, you know, 5 years later they tell me, oh yes, you told, I said, who told you? You did.
Yeah, so you're teaching them other things.
Right, you know, occasionally I throw a little history because I'm a history buff, not a history teacher, but I enjoy it because I said, you folks are making history today. And you think about it, you are making history today. Now, 50 years from now, you might recall some of the history you made. So, and so that's what I say about being a substitute teacher. And we have some great substitute teachers. And matter of fact, many are, if not all, are much better than Mr. Owen. But they do a great job. So never sell. And the way things are today, it's hard to get a substitute teacher.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
a lot of them have, well, how to put it, sometimes they're intimidated by students. So I try not to be intimidated.
But you've been doing it for 20 years, so there's nothing to be intimidated about.
Right. So that was I haven't retired yet. I haven't graduated yet either. I'm still working on that.
Oh, all right.